Joining us now, good friend of mine, fellow co-host over at SiriusXM, as well as analyst for Pro Football Focus, former NFL quarterback Bruce Gradkowski joins us now. What's up, Bruce? How we doing?
Brian, I'm good, brother. You know, it wasn't probably a start to the draft you and I look forward to with all the defensive guys, but, you know, I'm doing well, and I'm looking forward to seeing when these other quarterbacks go off the board.
Well, yeah, that was the question I was going to ask, right? There was talk coming into the draft that it wasn't necessarily a very exciting quarterback class, but regardless, when that happens, teams start to feel a little nervous, some anxiety. Are we going to pass up a guy that could change the franchise for us? And they maybe become impulsive and reach for a guy higher than they need to. Not this time, right? One quarterback goes. Kenny Pickett to the Pittsburgh Steelers, your old stomping grounds, one of my teams growing up. What do you think about that pick? And what do you expect from Kenny Pickett in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I'm excited for him. You know, we always talk about it's not about when you go, but where you go. And the thing I loved about the first round was what you pointed out. Like, teams didn't feel like they had to reach and pick, and we see it every year. Even teams like Carolina that are trying to find their next quarterback, Atlanta, Seattle, they did not kind of panic early on in the draft. The draft they let it fall where it may, and it was good to see. Even the Carolina Panthers, I was excited about their move. That Ike Ekwonu from NC State, the dude's a beast. I mean, he just plays with that tenacity that you need up front on the offensive line, and that changes the demeanor up front with the other four guys. So I think that's a game changer for them. So they didn't panic. They didn't reach for a quarterback, even if they love Pickett or Malik Willis. And then the Steelers, it's typical Steeler fashion. They just sit patient. They never panic. And they let the draft just come to them, and Kenny Pickett ends up falling right to them. We heard Tomlin a week or so ago talk about one of the top characteristics of a quarterback is being an ultimate competitor, and that to me is what Kenny Pickett is. He's a football player. He's a winner. It doesn't always have to be pretty, but I think he finds a way, and Pittsburgh's used to having a guy behind center like that in Big Ben, and I think this is a perfect pick for Pickett and also the Steelers.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how big he is, right? 6'3", 217 pounds. I mean, he's a lot bigger than a lot of people think, and they focused on the hand size and everything like that. And this is, I really loved it as a lifelong Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I know what kind of program it is. You were lucky enough to play for them, and I think this is a great fit. The way I likened this to, and Chris Brockman here and I were talking about it before the show, I liken this to what the San Diego Chargers did when they had Drew Brees on the roster, right? They had a guy, and when his contract was up, where Mitchell Trubisky will be a year or two from now, Phillip Rivers stepped in, and maybe Kenny can do the same. That's what I think would be the best of all worlds for the Pittsburgh Steelers if they were able to get success out of Mitchell Trubisky, compete, allow Kenny Pickett to develop, and then hand the car keys off to him when he's ready to take it.
No, absolutely. And, you talk about the Steelers organization and being a big fan of theirs. Coach Mike Tomlin builds an awesome culture. I mean, Mr. Rooney from the top down, Kevin Colbert, and then Tomlin running the day-to-day show. It's just impressive. It's a great environment and culture to be a part of. They let players develop into the players and people that they can become. And so for Kenny Pickett, even though he's a guy that could maybe tend to hold on to the ball too long in the pocket, Tomlin's been used to that in Big Ben. So there's some similarities there that Tomlin's been through it before. Now he gets to work with a young quarterback in Kenny Pickett. They have some veterans with Mason Rudolph and Mitchell Trubisky, on the roster, because it's a tough spot for Trubisky. He plays. The Steeler fans are just ecstatic to just get a taste of Kenny Pickett and what he can bring in Pittsburgh because he played at Pitt. He was already there. They've already been a fan of his. So I don't know how long he'll sit on the bench, but this guy's a competitor. I think it worked perfectly for them, and I'm excited to see how it unfolds.
All right, Kenny Pickett, of course, the only quarterback drafted in last night's first round. That leaves some quarterbacks that were were batted about in terms of where they might land, possibly in the first round, right? We're talking about Malik Willis, Matt Corral, Sam Howell, Carson Strong, some of these guys. Where do you think those dominoes start to fall tonight?
Yeah, that's going to be exciting to watch and that's what I'm so excited to see. Because think about the good quarterbacks that have gotten picked in the second round. You think, one of probably the all-time greats, especially probably the top pick in the second round, Drew Brees. We look at Andy Dalton had a good career. Derek Carr, look what he's doing. So let's not sleep on just because these guys didn't get picked in the first round, they still have a good opportunity. And it's going to be exciting to see what happens because now I do feel like teams, there's not as much pressure. If you draft a guy in the first round, that's your future. That's what you're hanging your hat on. Now, if you draft a guy in the second round, third round, there's a little less pressure on the guy. And I think, when we look at this second round tonight and how it unfolds, when it gets to Seattle at pick 40, what's going to happen there? They have 2 picks in a row. Does Atlanta try to jump them and get one of these young quarterbacks? And don't be surprised, like Washington, Detroit, who gets in the mix? Do the Saints get in the mix, knowing, look, we didn't think Malik Willis would slide to the second round. Let's go get him. So there's going to be a lot of excitement, especially how we saw the first round unfold with all the different trades and so forth. I'm looking forward to that again tonight. And another one to keep an eye on, how long is Baker Mayfield going to be hanging on in Cleveland? Do the Browns find a way and find a trade partner that happens tonight? I mean, that'd be exciting to see if that does come to play. But I think, for Desmond Ridder, Matt Corral, 2 guys that I liked. I really like Matt Corral, to be honest, Ryan. I don't know how much you had a chance to watch him, but I felt like good intermediate-wise as far as short game. But then when he's pushing the ball downfield, go routes, post routes, I felt like he was a little inaccurate, those times. Desmond Ridder, big, strong guy, straight line speed. I worry about inconsistency, accuracy-wise with him. But 2 good players. They can develop. And, of course, Malik Willis, we talked about him a little bit. I think his athleticism, his big arm, I think he can develop. And so that's kind of intriguing to me. And then Sam Howell. Let's not forget what he's done out of NC. He lost a lot of teammates last year to the draft to the NFL. But he has the physical tools. He's not the biggest dude. I felt like he was inconsistent at the combine a little bit when you and I were on the show. But so I'm excited to see kind of how this unfolds tonight into the third round.
The wide receiver position has just exploded. The market for it in free agency and trade value, it's become the second most percentage used by cap of teams in the NFL. And what I witnessed last night is once again a team that feels like they're near or at the top of what they're doing, the Tennessee Titans, move off a wide receiver instead of paying him $100 million, but going and getting one in the first round and having 5 years of contract and making, $15 million over the next 4 years in comparison to what you'd pay the individual like A.J. Brown in 1 year of $25 million. What do you think about this and the market for the wide receiver position and how it's exploded?
I know. I mean, you're so right? Because Tennessee's like, you know what? We'll go with the young guy. We'll trade A.J. Brown away. I came out of last night, and I was talking about it on NFL radio today. The biggest winner of round 1 was probably Jalen Hurts. You think about it. Jalen Hurts is sitting back, probably maybe watching the draft a little bit, and he just sees they acquired A.J. Brown. I mean, automatically that offense just got that much better. Jalen Hurts just got that much better. So to me, I was excited for the Eagles' moves and what they did. That was kind of cool to see. And then for the Titans, they draft Treylon Burks, big, strong guy, good straight line speed, good contest catch type of dude. Does he have a little Deebo Samuel in him? He's still not A.J. Brown, though. And you talked about it. It's those big contracts receivers are getting now. So I think it does. It plays out for A.J. Brown because he'll probably get the money he deserves. And it plays out for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. And now Tennessee, they get a young guy that they have to develop. Now, I'm not sure Ryan Tannehill's all that thrilled about it, because you're going to have to go through the growing pains And Tannehill, he can't go through any more growing pains. So I thought that was intriguing. And also another one, Ryan, I thought was cool is the Lions. How about the Lions draft?
Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson, they get a hometown kid, great demeanor, great player, all the production, the leadership he can bring on defense. And not only that, what do? They make a move to trade up in the draft to go ahead and get one of the most dynamic, game-changing talents when he's healthy, in Jamison Williams, receiver out of Alabama. So I thought the Lions had a good night as well.
Yeah, I agree. We're gonna put our top 5 picks into who we thought had the best night of the draft here in a little bit. But if you were Jacksonville at number 1 and you had everything in front of you, the Travon Walker pick for me was a bit surprising. It shouldn't have been. Everybody was talking about it, but just in terms of what you could get at that spot and the expectations that exist, right? Are you surprised that ultimately that Trent Baalke and that Jacksonville Jaguars team went with Travon Walker rather than maybe more of an established player that is a flat-out edge rusher?
Right. No, I was. I mean, I get it and I understand it. Sometimes, too, through this process, there's been a lot of shorts and T-shirt interviews and tests and all that. And you could get enamored by measurements. You could get enamored by those workouts. Let's not forget, what do they do in shoulder pads and a helmet? What do they do on Saturdays and Sunday? What do they do when you put on the game film? And that's where Aiden Hutchinson, his production is there. The guy's a beast. Now, Travon Walker, maybe the defense that the Jaguars run will allow him to really kind of excel because he is a physical freak. He can do it all. So they're kind of betting on that just with his stature and the way he can move and run and all that. It will be intriguing. To me, though, of course, being a quarterback and, being an offensive guy, I looked at it too, Ryan. I'm thinking, okay, Jacksonville just, invested 2 first-round picks in Trevor Lawrence and ETN last year. Why not protect those guys and go with an offensive tackle? Look what the Jaguars had done the last few years when, years ago when they had a good defense and they trade Jalen Ramsey away. What did that get them, right? So to me, it was kind of like I would have rather them see, and have gone all in offensively with the young talent they have. But we'll see how this plays out. As long as, and this was my biggest concern, because yesterday you hear there was some, inconsistencies in-house. Some of the Jaguars front office wanted this guy. The other people wanted this guy. I was glad to hear today that they were on the same page with this pick, because at the end of the day, and you know how it is, it's hard enough to win in this league, let alone if you're not on the same page. So I'm glad to see, at least here, that they were on the same page with this pick, and we'll see if it works out.
Well, we hope it does. Jacksonville, of course, in need. They had a great coach after the debacle of last year. They have a great quarterback. Let's see how it plays out. Bruce Gradkowski from Pro Football Focus joining us. Thanks for taking the time, Bruce. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Good to talk to you, too. Enjoy tonight.
Yes, sir. Have a great day.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.